Hi everyone, it's Amanda Norman here delivering today's session on nurse educators as neuroplasticians. During today's session, we'll be exploring neuroplasticity and how neuroplasticity helps us teach more effectively and foster lifelong learning and growth in our nurses. Core concept in neuroscience and a foundational understanding of learning and development. As nurse educators, we work with learners to engage in the neuroplasticity in their minds. So what is neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity is a term that refers to the brain's ability to change and adapt as a result of experience. When people say the brain processes plasticity, they're not suggesting that the brain is plastic. What they're suggesting is that neuro refers to neurons, the nerve cells that are building blocks of the brain and nervous system. Plasticity refers to the brain's malleability. The remarkable capacity of the brain to change its molecular, microarchitectural and functional organization in response to injury or experience. Dendrite formation and dendrite neuron destruction allows the brain to reshape and reorganize the networks of connections in response to the increased or decreased use of these pathways. Neuroplasticity is critical in nursing education. It enhances learning, promotes resilience, and supports well-being for both educators and learning. By understanding neuroplasticity allows us to teach more effectively and foster lifelong growth in our learners. As nurse educators, we know the brain is not static. It continually adapts, even in adulthood. How does neuroplasticity apply to nursing education? Well, it helps develop clinical reasoning, practice and strengthens neural connections. It helps nurses adapt to new technologies, protocols, and procedures, and it helps the brain rewire. Resilience builds resilience in high-stress environments, utilizing techniques of mindfulness and problem solving to shape cognition. Nurses must constantly acquire new knowledge and skills. Neuroplasticity helps strengthen memory and retention through active learning, improve critical thinking through stimulus-based education, enhance adaptability in dynamic healthcare settings. Education is about enhancing learning, and the neuroscience is about understanding the mental process involved in learning. Research in neuroscience shows utilizing the AGES technology is an effective strategy in enhancing learning for brain-based education. A little recap on the AGES model. AGES model. A for attention. Attention is critical, getting the learner's attention and keeping it. Using integrated visuals, hands-on practice, and discussion reinforces those neural pathways. G for generation. Everybody's learning journey is different. Integrate meaning into learning. Case-based learning solidifies clinical decision-making. E for emotion. We need to create safe learning environments. Emotional states affect our attention, memory, and problem solving. A calm, emotional, supportive environment enhances learning capacity. And S is spaced repetition. Spaced repetition, building and strengthening neural pathways by focused attention and repetition practices are key to rewiring the brain. Habits form neural pathways, and changing them requires constant effort and consistency. Additionally, encourage reflection, self-analysis enhances lifetime skill retention. Engaging our learners as neuroplasticians, we need to keep in mind how we are presenting the information, how much information we are offering, and what is the most important information that we can keep. We need to think about strategies that include repetition, rehearsal, and practice to help our learners properly code this information. Enhancing learning according to the primary recency effect, the information presented at the beginning of the lesson and at the end of the experience tend to be retained better than the information presented in the middle. Research has shown that students predominantly remember the beginning, like we said, at the beginning at the end of the lesson, and only have about a 10 to 20 minute attention span. The middle part of the lesson should be used as interactive social engagement to reinforce the learning. Our educational activities, or the lack of, either strengthen or weaken our neural connections. The areas of the brain that are used together tend to be strengthened, which gives a precedence to the understanding of the neurons that fire together wire together. The demanding nature of nursing can lead to burnout, but promoting positive neuroplasticity helps maintain health and resilience. Ways in which we can increase neuroplasticity and promote well-being include stress management techniques such as mindfulness to rewire the brain for emotional regulation, building confidence by successively learning new skills that reinforces self-efficacy and skill development, recovery from our traumatic situations in nursing, such as therapy and cognitive restructuring to reshape thought patterns through reflective practice groups and clinical supervision. Encourage exercise to promote neurogenesis, the growth of new neurons, especially in the hippocampus, which is linked to memory and mood regulation. Promote good sleep and nutrition for maintaining neuroplasticity by the extension and emotional and cognitive well-being. As nurse educators, we can model positive neuroplasticity by promoting growth mindsets, incorporating scaffolded skill acquisition, encouraging self-care practices in learning environments such as mindfulness at the beginning of our education sessions, and supporting team-based problem solving such as clinical simulations and case studies for shared resilience. So how do we apply all of this into practice? Firstly, we have to foster curiosity and we must engage our students with interactive and experiential learning. Secondly, we incorporate reflection, as we've discussed, and other techniques such as journaling, debriefing, our reflective practice groups, one-on-one clinical supervision and feedback to help enhance our cognitive growth. And thirdly, creating psychological safe spaces, supportive learning environments to encourage that neural adaptation. In conclusion, neuroplasticity is the foundation of lifelong learning and well-being. By using our behavioural tools such as AGES and brain-based techniques to inform the building of new neural pathways, nurse educators as neuroplasticians, we have the power to shape the minds, foster resilience and equip our learners for the ever-changing demands of healthcare. Let's enhance and harness neuroplasticity to empower the next generation of nurses and create a culture of continuous growth. Thanks for listening today, and I hope you've picked up some new techniques. Have a great day.